I've been going through old DMs tonight, looking for stories to tell you. Stories about the people who reach out when they're drowning. The ones who send what they call moonshot messages to a stranger like me because they don't know where else to turn. This is how these usually go. Job hunting is awful, so I'm sending moonshot messages to people I look up to. The ask. I'm not asking for a job, just whatever you're able to do. Ideally, I'm just seeking advice. Maybe that looks like a virtual coffee chat, or maybe just keeping my name in mind. Maybe just reading this message. Maybe nothing at all. Either way, I have a lot to thank you for. That was from a marketer and editor who needed a job. They found Burn It Down and felt like I spoke their language, but they were struggling with voice in a market that demanded careful self-censorship. And whoo boy, do I know what that's like. What will recruiters think? When they were a managing editor at a major industry publication, they wanted to put something bold and honest on the front cover of the next ebook, something with actual personality. And of course, the team censored it to death. They built impactful long-form projects, doubled product downloads in half the average time. They'd created amazing content that actually served their audience, because this was not only a writer, but a marketer that knew what they were doing. But they had been let go, and they had no idea why. I can't seem to get anyone to care that I get it. 9:12 p.m. I sent them a Google Meet link, 2 words. Hop in. We talked for over an hour about their work, their voice, their confidence. They walked me through all the content they'd created, the metrics that proved their impact, the audience that loved exactly what they were doing. I just don't understand why they let me go. I was doing good work, really good work. And that's when I asked about lead qualification. It was one of those things that we had touched on earlier in the conversation, but I was starting to get an idea of what was going on. There was a long pause. It's pretty garbage, honestly. They don't really qualify leads. I stared. Another pause, longer this time. If you're telling me that the company was fine with all these garbage leads, regardless of where they come from, then why do they need you? That's why you were let go, not because you were bad at your job. I watched their face change as they processed what I just said. I'll never forget the look on their face. The realization that they weren't fired for incompetence, they were fired for competence, for creating content that served the audience instead of covering up internal broken systems, for refusing to pretend that their garbage lead qualification was some sophisticated strategy. They were let go for telling the truth. But from there, we were actually able to make a plan. We were able to work on everything else. What to do next. Clarity, confidence, personal brand. I helped them see that their conviction wasn't the problem. It was actually the solution. Hi, Clark. Just wanted to thank you for jumping on that call with me and helping me. You packed so much great info into a short time and identified so many areas where my lack of clarity and confidence is really holding me back. This week, I'm going to revamp my LinkedIn and build a Notion page for myself to complement my portfolio, and I'm going to practice how to answer the questions you asked me so I don't come off as unsure. Your generosity means a great deal to me. Hell yeah. That's how these usually go. That's how they should go. Someone reaches out, I help. They get back on their feet, everybody wins. April 25th, 2024, 9:47 a.m. I would like to connect to better understand how you coped with the challenges in marketing that I'm currently facing. I understand we haven't met, but I've just seen one of your posts and never felt so seen, ever. This person was in an ABM role that got pivoted to business development without warning, working for a company that didn't understand marketing at all in the slightest. This person was struggling bad. Hey there, tell me what I can help with. Have time for a call in 30 minutes? That's what I said back 9 minutes later. They said yes. So I sent them a Google Meet link. We talked for almost 2 solid hours. To preface, here's what exactly this company did to this person. They hired them for an ABM role. Then, while they were on holiday, rewrote their entire job description, and they added allbound marketing, a term that even they could not define when this person asked them what it was. They gave them SQL targets. They extended their probation period because they had changed their role. They wanted this marketer to create content for major enterprise accounts. And I mean the biggest tech companies that you know, by themselves, and with a tiny quarterly budget. They told this marketer that the board had given these objectives, that they needed to grow tier 1 accounts, that this is why they were hired, that they needed to take ownership and put their all into it because they wanted to give this person more responsibility. And when they expressed that they felt like they were being set up for failure, the powers that be told this person, give it your best. Let me make this very clear. I've seen this before. It is the impossible mandate, the budget that's a joke, moving targets, the gaslighting wrapped in opportunity language. So I gave this person the playbook. Document everything. From here on out, you request formal meetings with receipts. You get clarity on expectations in writing, no exceptions. And finally, you need to start job hunting immediately. We went through the job spec line by line. I told this person what they were looking at was work for a team of 6 people, plus possible help from an external agency or 2. I helped them draft an email to their manager, connected them with recruiters, I reviewed their resume. Month after month, we stayed in touch. I kept checking on them. June. They're getting confused about what allbound marketing is, and I'll explain it to you just like I did with them. The term allbound is yet another bullshit term created by people that know nothing about marketing, but come into this industry trying to make up new terms for things that already have names. Not because they want to make marketing better in any way whatsoever, but because they want to be the person known for coming up with the next big trend. Allbound, nearbound, inbound-led outbound, all terms you have heard. All terms created by careless, manipulative people inventing disorienting language to deflect accountability. Fuck them. August. Our protagonist finally gets a verbal offer. We celebrate like you would not believe, as much as any 2 people could on LinkedIn in a Google Meet call. September. They resign from the current job and they start at a major tech company doing field marketing. They were finally getting to escape. 1 week in, I've had absolutely 0 anxiety attacks since I started. Those are the kind of words that makes this worth it. April 13th, 2025, 4:12 a.m. GMT. I am, and there's going to be things about every job that are less than ideal, but I've had 0 anxiety attacks since started. And although I'm not planning to retire here, I am rushing to leave. Wait, no. What? That's not a statement that's supposed to be coming out of this person's mouth. What happened? That should say I'm not rushing to leave, but it doesn't. Why? Even at this new company, let me tell you, a good company, a very stable role, they were already planning their exit. This is what they don't tell you about the long-term effects of being in toxic work environments. This person didn't just burn out. They were broken. And they had been broken down with people that did not care. Intentionally. Slowly. By people who smiled while asking them to lie for them. To smile through the rewrite. To smile through the allbound bullshit. To smile through the board's mandate. And smile while they move the finish line yet again. And when the smile finally cracks, they call it not a culture fit. When someone's been broken in a system like this, even safety feels like waiting for the floor to collapse again. They're already looking for another escape route. The industry had broken this person so completely that yet again, even the safety of a stable environment felt temporary. Sometimes all escape does is change the wallpaper on the trauma. I went back to find our conversation. I didn't know that I wouldn't even be able to find them. They were gone. They're gone. It seems like they are. Every trace. Even now, like as I'm recording this, I've been at this for 4 hours. It is now 3 a.m. and I am still desperately looking for them. They don't exist anymore. 5 months of conversations, hundreds of messages, job coaching, interview prep, celebrating wins, checking in during the hard times. All of it now shows as coming from no one. It's like it's a scorched earth, rejection of every expectation, every betrayal, every lie wrapped in opportunity. This person didn't quit their job. They didn't change careers. They erased themselves from professional existence entirely. Maybe it wasn't surrender. Maybe it was refusal. Like a way of saying, you don't get to keep this version of me. Them. That's what I keep thinking about. Them. Not the dozens of people I've helped over the years, not the success stories, not the ones who escaped and thrived. Just them. The one who vanished. Because when someone trusts you enough to reach out, when they start with never felt so seen, when you invest months into their survival, just them feels like everyone. One disappearance can make you question every single hop-in moment. Every Google Meet link, every late night DM where someone's falling apart and just needs to hear that they're not crazy. Did I actually help them? Or did I just prolong their suffering before they inevitably chose erasure over participation? There's something haunting about scrolling through a conversation where one person no longer exists. All my responses are there, just hanging in space, talking to no one. Hey there, tell me how I can help. Have time for a call in 30 minutes? Send me your resume right now. This is bullshit. You got this. Awesome, this is so great. 5 months of trying to help someone who was already disappearing. And maybe that's the most honest thing about this kind of work, about trying to help people in a system that's designed to break them. Sometimes you lose them anyway. Sometimes 0 anxiety attacks is still one too many. Sometimes the damage runs so deep that even freedom, stability, feels like a trap, like you're being tricked, like it's just gonna happen again. They don't tell you about the ghosts when you start doing this kind of work. They don't tell you that some people you try to help will choose not to exist rather than continue playing the game. They don't tell you that success stories sometimes turn into disappearances and that celebrations sometimes become silence. How can I help sometimes leads to places that you can't follow. They don't tell you that the bravest thing someone can do is delete their professional identity entirely. They don't tell you what it feels like when you're the one who thought you were helping them find their way back. Because they don't exist. What happens when someone chooses non-existence over participation in a broken system? Most people change jobs, take breaks, pivot careers. They don't delete themselves from professional existence entirely. You know, that single 404 error that I saw is just the ultimate indictment of what this industry has become. The question isn't whether I helped them or failed them. The question is, what kind of industry creates people so broken that even escape and stability doesn't feel possible? What kind of system damages people so completely that they choose erasure over participation? What kind of machine are we all feeding that produces these ghosts in our DMs? It's kind of when I realized that maybe I'm not haunted by them. Maybe I'm haunted by who I'd have to become to do the same. Because their disappearance wasn't just rejection, it was prophecy. A version of me, if I stopped pretending I could still survive this. Maybe that's the most honest response to what marketing has become. Because they saw something the rest of us are still too afraid to admit. And what does that make me? I stayed. I'm still here. Writing posts, answering DMs, hopping on Google Meets like it's gonna matter in the end. I tell myself I'm helping, that I'm building something better, that I'm different. But what if I'm just further along from my breaking point? What if surviving in this system isn't a sign of strength, but a symptom of compliance? What if they saw the truth before I did? That making it here doesn't mean you're safe. It just means you've built a thicker mask. Maybe that's why their silence hurts so much. Because it's not just absence, it's a mirror. Did I help them survive or just delay their exit? Am I saving people from the system or recruiting them into a fight that they're not prepared to fight? Maybe even one that they can't win. And does that mean that good intentions can still cause harm? When they give those that believe in me false hope about their own strengths? Is there a price for instilling confidence in people? That maybe the most dangerous thing you can do is help someone believe in themselves again? Not because it's wrong, but because it might convince them to stay a little longer in a place that doesn't deserve them. Is surviving in this system actually a success, or is it just prolonged suffering in a system that seemingly has no intention whatsoever of changing? I keep telling myself that I'm built different, that I can carry the weight that they couldn't, that I'm here to fix the system, not get swallowed by it. But on nights like this, I wonder, maybe they weren't weak. Maybe they didn't need help. Maybe they were first out of all of us. I can tell you this, if you're listening right now and you're dealing with some of the same crap that so many other marketers are right now, I can't promise I'll save you. I can't promise that reaching out will fix everything or anything at all. I can't promise that the Google Meet links and late night strategy sessions and job spec reviews will help you in any way. But I can promise you this. If you reach out, I'll respond. If you need to talk, I'll hop in. If you're drowning, I'll throw you a rope, even if I can't guarantee you'll grab it. Because maybe that's all any of us can do in a system that is this broken. Show up, stay present, answer the DMs, and give a shit. And hope that never felt so seen is enough to keep someone here long enough to find their own way out. Even if you choose a way that I can't follow. Wherever you are now, whatever life you're building away from all this, I hope you found what you're looking for. I hope the silence is peaceful. I hope the absence of all the Slack messages feels like freedom. I hope you're pouring coffee somewhere happier than the rest of us could ever be. And I hope you know that for 5 months, you mattered to someone. Even if that someone couldn't save you, even if the help wasn't enough, you were seen. Thanks for listening. If this hits something real, pass it on. Reach is where I process the cost, and burn it down is where I expose the system that created it. You can subscribe to both if you're done pretending that any of this is normal. One is for the silence, one is for the fire. Visit burnitdown.marketing to go deeper. And if you want more reach, subscribe or leave a review. That's how things keep going.